Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another one of Emma's vlogs, which these have been very popular. And we may be looking at doing something similar with even more clients, because this is the second client I've done this with. And we might do more of these in the future as more clients want to do them. So, and again, assuming that they give me enough footage to do all of it and they're longer term clients. And a lot of the channel might go in that direction more if more of my clients want to do that. Rather than me always just discussing stuff, we can see my different clients' training. You can see my training every week. So we started her week off with max effort football bar bench against 30 pounds of bands. And she got a PR on that lift of, again, 105 was the bar weight, which again indicates she may not quite be ready for a true flat bench PR again, but we just got one recently, so we're happy about that. And then of course we did pen presses against a football bar, and then we were doing neutral grip pull-ups. Now if you guys recall, she had gotten up to where she was doing 8 chin-ups, but we want to avoid overuse, so we're going to rotate these movements. So we're going over to a neutral grip and just using her football bar to do neutral grip pull-ups, which tend to be very easy on the shoulders. I'm a big fan of them. You guys see me do them in my own vlogs. Then for her second supplemental lift, we're doing incline dumbbell bench, right? Incline dumbbell bench. And then we're doing rows, standing rows with the dumbbells. So what does this give us as far as pressing and pulling? All right, so we have a max effort lift. We have pen presses with a specialty bar, incline bench with dumbbells, so that's our 2 presses. Then pulling, we have neutral grip pull-ups and bent over rows with the dumbbells. Again, we rotate every few weeks, every 2 to 3 weeks, we rotate these supplemental lifts. Right, we don't keep them the same. We want to avoid overuse. We want to maximize hypertrophy, and by us hitting different angles, we get that. And notice that every workout on most of these, we hit 2 different angles, right? So we have 2 different exercises to cover: a basic push and pull, and then of course she does some extra tricep work, right? Because we always need more triceps. And that's one of the things everyone will notice with all of my clients. I'm a strength coach. We put a lot more effort into triceps than anything else, because triceps are more useful for strength, athleticism, everything else. And not just the big 3. If you understand the structure of the body, the biomechanics, it makes sense why biceps are just not that useful relative to tricep work. And biceps can actually be built maximally off pull-ups and things. Yeah, all the research says that. She next, and I don't have the notes in front of me on what she lifted here, we did a conventional deadlift against bands for max effort lower. Then we're working different good mornings, right? We've been using the football bar a lot. Now we're switching over to the cambered bar for good mornings. Again, people will note my lifters live on good mornings, right? Good mornings are a staple exercise. Most of my lifters do them year round, and ideally we rotate through them. And we try to get really strong at our rep work on these, which she has. And you'll note that we're not doing as much work now for lower body, right? We're not doing quite as much work because, again, workloads were starting to get to her. She was starting to get fatigued. So we're scaling back the total amount of lower body volume. So you guys will note in this session today, we didn't have a lot of stuff, right? We had the max work, we have good mornings, and then we have reverse hypers. But realistically, that's enough. I mean, I could add a supplemental squat back in for her coming soon, but this will get it done. And again, very high rep, good reverse hypers. And believe it or not, a lot of you out there will say things like, if you don't have a really big squat yet, you'd be surprised what you would get out of just doing these movements, right? Doing speed squats, doing good mornings, speed pulls, some reverse hypers or other back extensions. Actually, for most of you, if it's programmed correctly, and again, this throws people off when I say this, that should be enough to get you to a 400 squat, right? Should be enough. And again, we can do an extra exercise in there, but you shouldn't need that much supplemental work to get to a 400 squat as a grown man. All right. Of course, our footage got a little messed up. This one didn't get into the portrait. So again, we're seeing another set of the good mornings in here. So I guess we got two different angles, and the files just downloaded a little bit funny when I went to put them into here. So we'll just run with it. I'm not going to stop recording just because I noticed this. So again, this was actually done before the reverse hypers, right? It was done before the reverse hypers, but the point still stands. This is enough supplemental work, particularly if we're going to go through a slightly easier phase. Good mornings, reverse hypers, done in addition to MEDE work, is actually sufficient for a lot of lifters. Really is. And with her, she's already deadlifting 300 pounds. Then we did speed bench. We did speed bench, again, against bands. And we may change her tempos a little bit, but the speed is really good here. The speed is really good, so I'm happy with it for now. But again, notice the bar speeds that we're getting. This is what we want. Right? It's what we want. We want to see on speed work 1 meter per second. And then we repeated more or less the same work afterwards, right? More or less the same work. Although I think we skipped the pin work. We don't need it always after the speed work. So we do the pull-ups, right? We do the incline bench, the rows, and the triceps. And again, that's enough. For a non-enhanced lifter who is scaling volume back just a little bit to recover, this is enough work to get bigger and stronger. Right? Everyone thinks that they need enormous amounts of volume, and it's not always the case. It really isn't. Because keep in mind, all this is here just to maximize your hypertrophy off the back end of your max work and speed work. And people do forget that. Technically, max effort and dynamic effort, the work done itself, if you were to just do a bunch of back work, a lot of people would actually grow off that. If you're not an advanced lifter or even a late intermediate, a lot of you early intermediates, late novices could technically get away with just doing the max and the speed work with some back work and a few good mornings, and you would still get bigger and stronger. Again, if it's programmed correctly. It just wouldn't be maximum growth. But in her case, a lot of her upper body, we're still chasing maximum growth. All the pulling, we're up here in the optimal volume range, right? We do 3 sets of pulls of 2 different types. Same thing with triceps. Right, her triceps, we are hitting optimal training volumes between the amount of pressing we do and then doing some press downs. And I can later pull her press downs out if I just put a more tricep dominant lift in. That's the other thing. The single joint exercises that we do on some of this really depends on the equipment that someone has available. Because I could easily replace these with dips or closed grip benching as a supplemental lift. Could easily replace it. And if the volumes are programmed right, you'll get maximum growth. Now her speed squats, they were okay. I'd like to see them a hair faster. Still, they weren't bad today, but if you look at her speed bench was so much faster than the speed squats this week. So it's also potentially due to fatigue, right? It's due to fatigue. So you'll get a little bit slower. Although these look better now that I'm watching them when I first saw them. And her speed pulls are good, right? Look, nice, good bar speed. The bar is moving close to what we want, about 1 meter per second. And you guys notice right now she's doing doubles on all these. It's triples on the speed bench, doubles on these. Some of my people do 5s. I do 5 sometimes. So again, we do vary it depending upon where a lifter is. And then more good mornings. More good mornings, more reverse hypers. These are her primary lifts, right, as far as her supplemental lower body stuff goes. I mean, we do other things. She's done RDLs. She's done split squats, stuff like that in different phases. But if we're going to minimize things down for recovery purposes, if someone needs to back the volume down, this is what we want, particularly for her, right? It's what we want. We're building the entire posterior chain between these 2 movements. And again, quads get a little bit overrated. And I'm not saying quads don't matter. I think people focus on quads too much, and they end up with too knee dominant of a squat. And they end up with a lot of problems as a result of it. If you're going to put your efforts in somewhere, put it into the posterior chain. And then she finishes off with reverse hypers. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.